And our subject is today's story. Prelude to Cold Fleet, from airmail to sky pickups. Prelude to भूमिका Cold Fleet, March 23, 2026, March 23. CIA is constantly strengthening our technological prowess through specialized tradecraft and unrivaled creativity to meet our global mission. Though few may know of Operation Cold Feet, CIS precursors extraction of materials from an abandoned Soviet ice station floating in the Arctic. Just like film fanatics are probably familiar with Skyhook, which was depicted in the classic James Bond movie Thunderball and award-winning Batman movie The Dark Knight. থান্ডারবোল্ট সিনেমা সবাই দেখছি যে কিভাবে সমুদ্রের ভিতরে পরে ওই যে প্যারাসুট নিয়ে ফরে দুজন বাসে আর কি। But before CS, the real life is by extraction or Hollywood's glamorization. Aerial pickups had a much more practical origin. America's first ground to air mail service, America's first ground to air mail system. The airborne pickup method was invented in the 1920s and perfected over the next decade. On 1938, Congress passed an act authorizing the US Post Office to roll out experimental localized airmail pickup to improve the efficiency of the overall service. অর্থাৎ ডেলিভারি মাঝখানেই আকাশ থেকে মনে করেন আমি ডিএসএল এটা কুরিয়ার পাঠালাম আমেরিকায় পৌঁছাবে, তো ওই ডিএসএল এর থেকে আকাশ থেকে এটা কালেক্ট করে তারা নিয়ে নিচ্ছে। This allowed a small aircraft to collect mail bundles from remote communities in the United States, which began the flowing air. All American Aviation Incorporation's pioneering system was based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and provided airmail service to towns throughout the Ohio River Valley that did not have adequate landing fields. অর্থাৎ ছিল না। Anyway, did you know? Not do you know? Did you know? In 1949, all American Aviation Corporation went from being a mail delivery company to a passenger airline named All American Airways. Shortly thereafter, it was renamed Allegiant Airways and served as a domestic regional carrier. In 1979, Allegheny became US Air rebranded as US Airways on 1997, expanding into a transcontinental service before merging with American Airlines in 2015 to now the largest airline in the world. ইমেজ আছে দেওয়া, একটু মধু খেয়ে নিয়ে দেওয়া। All American Aviation's novel technique. All American Aviation system used two 15-foot poles set in the ground about 50 feet apart with a line strung between them that was attached to a mail canister. An overhead aircraft would approach the poles while a flight mechanic dropped a long steel cable. As the plane pulled up, a hook at the end of the cable would grab the line, hoisting the mail into the air before being hoisted on board. Number 58, research keep a rubber mail canister, data canister, rubber mail extraction to military use during World War II. In 1943, the US Army Air Forces experimented with the aerial extraction system to rescue airmen in difficult terrain মানে ওই যে পাহাড় মালভূমি টালভূমি ট্রেন মানে বিভিন্ন অসমতল ভূমি ট্রেন যেটা initial military test using containers revealed that the acceleration forces far exceeded what the human body could tolerate. তুমি প্যারাশুট নিয়ে লাফ দিতে গেলেও তোমার নির্দিষ্ট একটা উচ্চতা থেকে লাফ দিতে হবে, তার উপর থেকে লাফ দিয়ে লাভ নাই। মানে যাই নিয়ে রকেট সায়েন্স আমার তোমাকে দরকার নেই, আমরা গল্প শুনতেছি, গল্প পড়তেছি, এই আর কি। Tester modified that transfer lines and parachute harnesses, resulting in more acceptable acceleration forces. Paratrooper Lieutenant Alex Doster volunteered to be the first human test pickup in September 1943. Doster was anchored vertically of the ground and soared behind the aircraft. It took less than 3 minutes to reel him up into the plane. An illustration of a SNES pickup from a 1944 US Army Air Forces manual. The Air Force continued to improve the system for remote battlefield tasks, but never used it operationally to pick up humans during WW2 অর্থাৎ World War II. CIA's first fateful attempt at ground to air spy pickup. CIA grew interested in all American aviation's pickup method as a way to extract agents and supplies during the Korean War. On November 29, 1952, the agency proprietary Civil Air Transport CAT আমরা যেটা বলি Civil Air Transport airline piloted by Norman Swartz and Robert Snowdy flew over Manchuria with officers John Downey and Richard Factual on board. They intended to pick up a Chinese agent who had been sent in to gather intelligence. Tragically, the mission went awry before the exfiltration. Fulton develops the aerial retrieval system. Meanwhile, Richard E. Fulton Jr., an American scholar, intrepid old traveler, and talented inventor, believed he could improve the ground to air pickup system. Fulton had observed a demonstration of the all American aviation pickup in London after World War II, inspiring him to devote much of his time to developing air pickup equipment. Fulton photographed his experimental pickup operations in 1950 and took the film to Rear Admiral Luis D. Flores, the first director of technical research at CIA, integrated by Fulton's efforts. De Flores connected Fulton with the Office of Naval Research, which offered Fulton a development contract. Over the next few years, Fulton borrowed his aerial retrieval system. By on 1958, the Fulton recovery system, famously known as Skyhook, had taken its final shape. A package dropped from an aircraft would contain all of the equipment needed for a ground pickup, including a harness attached to a 500-foot high strength braided nylon line, a deflated zip line shaped balloon, and a portable helium bottle with which to inflate the balloon and raise the flying when it was time. The pickup aircraft, sporting steel horns protruding from its nose, would snare the helium suspended line, while a part which would lift the harnessed person, the cargo, on board. Just like সাতারি, আমি বলেছিলাম না ভূমিকম্পের জন্য একটা ওই যে স্টিল দিয়ে বানায় বাসার ভিতরে তিনজন থাকা যায় ভিতরে ওই যে অক্সিজেন নিয়ে সাতারির মতো মনে কর ওই ডায়াগ্রামগুলো যে আছে। Fulton first used test dummies to demonstrate his skyhook system. Unsatisfied with the safety, he used a live pig. The test pig hurtled through the air at 125 mph millibar and was lifted on board unscathed, but disoriented and angry. He proved the old saying, when pigs fly, was not something impossible after all. On August 12th, Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Levi Woods was the first human to test the Skyhook pickup. As it turned out, the person being picked up experienced less of a jolt than during a parachute opening. Extending the arms and legs prevented the oscillation that plagued the poor pig while being winched on board. Soon the test paved the way for CIA's first operational use of Fulton's Skyhook. Skyhook delivered CIA mission success. During the Cold War, the US and Eastern Bloc during the Cold War, the US and Eastern Bloc were not only engaged in a space and missile race, but also a race to understand the Arctic for scientific and military purposes. In 1962, CIA successfully employed Skyhook during Operation Cold Feet, which provided an intelligence কপ আছে না, ওই যে মিলিটারি কপ বলি, কু হয় যেরকম কপ on Soviet anti-submarine and acoustic technology. The operation also proved that humans in remote areas and under hostile conditions could be extracted by air. It was a perfect example of CIA embracing groundbreaking innovation to give our nation a global edge EDGE over adversaries অর্থাৎ বিরূপ প্রতিক্রিয়ায় and who could have made Skyhook look more cool than James Bond প্রশ্নবোধক and who could have made Skyhook look more cool than James Bond থান্ডারবোল্টের যে James Bond and Domino narrating aerial extraction in the final scene of Thunderbolt. Point to be noted. A special thank you to the Smithsonian National Postal Museum for their information on all American aviation's airmail service. For a more in-depth read on Skyhook and Operation Cold Feet, check out A Good Pick Me Up, Robert Fulton's Skyhook and Operation Cold Feet from the Studies in Intelligence. That's mean এখন ছুটি নিলেও আরও সাথে কয়েকটা স্টোরি বাদ রয়ে গেছে। আপাতত আজকে থাক এই পর্যন্ত।